United States Department of State has said it will revoke the visa of Colombian President Gustavo Petro, citing his reckless and incendiary actions in relation to a speech he gave to protesters outside the United Nations headquarters in New York City. Earlier today, Colombian President Gustavo Petro stood on a NYC street and urged U.S. soldiers to disobey orders and incite violence, the department said in a post on X on Friday. The post did not provide specific details on Petro's alleged offense, but footage circulated on social media showed the Colombian leader joining thousands of pro-Palestine protesters outside the UN building in Midtown Manhattan. In one video clip, Petro can be heard saying his country plans to present a resolution to the UN seeking to establish an army for the salvation of the world, whose first job would be the liberation of Palestine. In an unofficial translation of his speech to protesters, Petro said that world nations will contribute soldiers to the army, which will enforce the orders of international justice and must be larger than the U.S. military. I ask all of the soldiers of the Army of the U.S. not to point their guns at humanity, disobey the orders of Trump, obey the orders of humanity, the Colombian leader said.
Por eso el pueblo colombiano y en general el pueblo latinoamericano, incluido el pueblo argentino, está con la causa palestina.
That's why the Colombian people, the Latin American people, even the Argentinian people is with the Palestinian cause.
Hemos hecho una propuesta hace 2 días a la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas.
We make a proposal before the General Assembly of the United Nations 2 days ago.
Creo que con el último veto que realizó Estados Unidos en el Consejo de Seguridad se acabó la diplomacia.
I truly believe that after the last veto of USA before the Security Council, the diplomacy is over.
La historia de la humanidad nos ha mostrado durante milenios que cuando la diplomacia se acaba hay que pasar a otra fase de la lucha.
The history taught us that once the diplomacy is over, the humanity has to come to another kind of struggle.
Lo que ocurre en Gaza es un genocidio, no hay que decirlo de otra manera, es para desaparecer al pueblo palestino, y cuando hay genocidio se comete un crimen contra la humanidad.
What is going on in Gaza, clearly out of discussion, is a genocide. And this genocide is not just to raise Gaza, it's to delete all the humanity.
Es un genocidio igual que sufrió el pueblo judío ante los alemanes nazis. Y de esa manera, igual que en el tribunal de Nuremberg, los nazis genocidas deben ser juzgados hoy. Y esos nazis se visten con una bandera que no les pertenece, con una historia que no les pertenece, que es la historia del pueblo de Israel.
As the same level that happened during the Second World War is going on today. That's why, like in Nuremberg Tribunal, has to act. The people who are committing the genocide has still a history that doesn't belong to them, a symbol that doesn't belong to them, a flag that doesn't belong to them.
Y de esa manera, de esa misma manera, la humanidad, porque se ha cometido un crimen contra la humanidad, debe responder.
Legacy of Hitler. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has called for a criminal investigation against U.S. President Donald Trump over deadly strikes on boats in the Caribbean. The White House claims the vessels were transporting drugs, But Petro denounced the attacks during his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. He also accused Trump of criminalizing poverty and migration.
Did not lead me to think that almost the same thing could happen in the Colombian Caribbean area, where unarmed young people are being shot at with missiles in the open seas. And now we are in a different situation. Perhaps it's more global, a kind of Stone Age that has descended on all of humankind. Missiles against 17 unarmed young people in the Caribbean Sea, some of them Colombians. The persecution, imprisonment, and expulsion of millions of migrants, missiles that have killed some 70,000 people in Gaza, the lack of action on the climate crisis. All this is linked, and all this has the same cause. Migration is simply an excuse so that a rich society, rich, white, and racist, believes itself to be the superior race, and is not realizing that its leaders are leading it to the abyss, to its own distinction, together with the rest of humanity. They said that the missiles in the Caribbean were used to stop drug trafficking. That is a lie. Stated here in this very rostrum. In 2023 and 2024 were years when the largest amount of cocaine was seized, and over 700 drug traffickers were extradited to the United States and Europe. I extradited them. And my government seized, confiscated the cocaine, and we didn't shoot a single missile, nor did we kill any youths. The years where I was able to prove that it's more effective to substitute coca crops than eradicate them, than forced eradication using poison, and forcing peasants to use it. The violent war against drugs was a failure, and I replaced it with an effective anti-trafficking policy, not based on a mix-up between an inert substance, that is drugs, with people who actually use it and practice it. But what was necessary is to destroy dialogue and to shoot missiles. Was it really necessary on unarmed, poor young people in the Caribbean? The anti-drug policy is not meant to stop cocaine that is coming to the United States. The anti-drug policy is to dominate the peoples of the South as a whole. You shouldn't look at the drugs, you should look at who has the power and who dominates. This is why I speak to you as a decertified president. I've been decertified by President Trump, without him having any right to do this, a human right or divine right or any sensible reason. They want to force by violence tens of thousands of peasants to do what the U.S. government wants to do, which are influenced by mafia groups in Colombia. Thousands of peasants are massacred in Colombia by politicians who were senators, who were presidents, who were ministers, that were bribed and on the payroll of the drug mafia. And at the same time, they were allies of the extreme right based in Florida of the United States, and now allies of the Trump administration. They've been allied for decades with drug lords, cocaine drug lords in Colombia. they were allies, and so they led this anti-drug policy from Washington. I don't know if Trump even knows that his foreign policy towards Colombia, Venezuela, and towards the Caribbean is based on advice from Colombians who are allies of the cocaine mafia. I myself denounced these politicians, including the paramilitaries, drug traffickers, naming them by their names in the Congress of Colombia when I was senator, and many times they wanted to kill me because of that. And they did not want me to become president. They wanted me to shut up, and now they don't want another progressive government to be reelected. That is why I've been personally decertified, and they have spread calumny against Colombia. Colombia has confiscated the highest amount of cocaine in the history of the country under my government, and I've been decertified. In Colombia, we have managed to stop the President of the United States does not know that 1 million Latin Americans have died. The largest share of them from Colombia. And another 1 million will die in North America in 10 years because of fentanyl. Cocaine killed 3,000 people a year today. Fentanyl kills 130 per year, 30 times more. That is the outcome of 30 years by the United States of a policy that is absurd and that is leading its society to the horrific death due to drugs that kill the brain. And in this situation, Trump not only allows missiles to be fired at young people in the Caribbean, does not only imprison migrants, but also allows missiles to be killed against children, women, and old people in Gaza. He is an accomplice to genocide. It is a genocide, and we need to prevent it. This forum is a mute witness to a genocide. In a world where we thought that this was something only a legacy of Hitler. Here they don't speak of life, of the climate crisis. What is happening is the death of thousands of children.